Hello and welcome back to Talking About Cross Stitch with me. I am Karen and I am the Stitching Owl. I'm coming to you on May the 6th of 2025 from London, Ontario. Not quite a sunny day at this point, but I'm sure it will work up to it. For those of you who are back here seeing what I'm up to again, thank you so much for tuning in and choosing my Flosstube when there are so many wonderful options available. For those of you who this might be the first time, thank you. I really am so pleased that you pressed the play button, and I'm hoping that you will find something that you will like and that you will hit subscribe. And I do love it when people leave their comments. I have over the year and a half to further than that, developed a Send a Smile program that has been somewhat in jeopardy because of oddness in the mail. But I am happy to report that the card with smile ornament did reach Carolyn Zook. I'm ever so pleased that she was happy with what I sent her. I can also say that I received from the States my ATC card. This is Artist Trading Cards Exchange or Swap that is being run by Laura, Stitching by the Shore. And we were to stitch something 2.5 by 3.5 that was to do with our home. And this is the ATC that I got. This is Ventura, California, and the title is Coastal Two Trees. Artist, Justin Fisher. Created in winter of 2025. And I really like this one. So I've got a mini collection started. I'm just going to keep doing this, and over the years I'm going to have a full collection from so many different people. In the mix of things that got returned unexpectedly, I had won a pattern from Chris and Jane, the Boss Stitchers, and they had sent it out and unexpectedly received it back. Again, just like Carolyn, no explanation, just arrived back. Fortuitously, they brought it to Stitch North, and I was hunting them up, literally almost falling across Jane and going, hey, you're on my bucket list, and ta-da, the exchange was made. So far, things are appearing to take more time than normal going between the States and Canada. Laura was commenting that people in Britain were receiving their cards like a full week before I was receiving mine, which feels a little odd, but it was received. So I will experiment and send another smile out and see that it, hopefully it arrives as expected as well. Stitch North. I had a fabulous weekend this past weekend. It was weekend 2. Stitch North is of course run by Evertote, Caroline at the head, and her partner in crime, Carrie, who does all of the dyeing for Roxy Floss Co. So by the end of our weekend, they were of course tired, very, very tired, because 2 weekends in a row is a lot, but it was a wonderful time. I had a fabulous table of Lisa for City Stitching, Deborah, Jody, Melita, Val, and Lori of My Crazy Life. It was just a terrific table. We were, of course, table 3. And there was even a couple people at our table that won door prizes. So that is always cool when that happens. I want to say thank you to everybody who popped over to the table or just said hi in the hallway. I had the opportunity to have people say, I did the Canada swap. I've done Canada chats. There was just so many people that sort of popped over. And I have to say that one of the people that did this swap by the name of Jody P popped over to say hi, and I was blown away because yes, she has started this owl of Sharova Creations, and that it was just such a moment for me. So thank you, Jody, and I hope you'll take part in some of our chats coming up. Speaking of Canada chats, I'm just going to announce that because of the Stitch North, we didn't have our normal weekend, and I had announced a little bit about that. So Canada chats will be this weekend. So Sunday, May the 11th at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, I will be sending out an email, and then on Sunday itself, you will get a link just before I open up the channel. I have a lovely group of people, somewhere between 9 and 15 people gather for Canada chats, and it's just so lovely. At at Stitch North, other Flosstubers I met included Michelle Bendy. That was wonderful. Michelle, the Chinook crafter, got some pictures with her, and she was even wearing an owl t-shirt. Jerica of Daybreak Stitchery, the Museum Stitcher, I think her name is Pigeon. Shiloh Cross Stitch MD, of course. Carmen of Cardamom Pins, Chris and Jane, the Boss Stitchers. Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch, ran into her in the elevator, and it was like, oh, yep, she's tall. We'll see. Of course, Caroline and Carrie of Evertote, Sheldon and Stitches, and I am sure that there were many more Flosstubers there that I've either forgotten that I interacted with, or it was a big room and I didn't get a chance to talk to every table. I do want to mention the lovely Jessica, who is an employee of Caroline. She made herself available to take pictures of each of us as we did our finishes at Stitch North, and even did her first cross stitch. It was her name tag, and was just a delight. She is somebody that's in the fashion program at Fanshawe, going into 3rd year, which is a very special year. They get to work towards a big fashion show, and I am hoping to be able to go see it. I really enjoyed getting to know Jessica, and she's definitely a wonderful addition to the Evertote team. Now, beyond this, if you would like to learn more about the wonderful gifts that we received, before that, then I will say that Lisa of 4 City Stitching did a much more complete roundup of Stitch North. The only other thing that I'm going to say is that we did do a smalls exchange, and I was so pleased by the small that I received. I know I'm a little unusual, but when I go to the smalls table, I look around and I pick out the smallest package on the table. It usually guarantees that I won't get a couple pounds of chocolate or something that doesn't work for me. So when I picked the smallest, I picked the package that Carmen of Cardamom Pins had stitched. And it's a teeny tiny pillow, 2 sides. Look at the small X's there. She says it's 40, but it looks like a tight 40, more closer to 42, 44, even a 46. But I am so pleased to actually have something from Carmen. We have a link in that we're both musicians. Now she plays cello, I play piano, but she was also the roommate of one of my past students. And we found each other at Jacob Palooza. So hi, Carmen. It was wonderful to see you and hug you again. So let's go on with my regular floss tube at this point. But this floss tube will be minus the fully finished items because I did a separate floss tube last Thursday before Lisa picked me up. Lisa was a real trooper in doing the driving, helping with heavy luggage. God bless you, Lisa. and just keeping a general eye on me. So I just can't thank Lisa enough, because I probably wouldn't be able to take part in this event without having somebody that I could trust right there. So thank you. So if we talk about the weather, spring has actually arrived in London, Ontario. And since we were last together, there's been no snow. We took off our snow tires. We haven't quite put away the shovels yet, because that usually is an invitation for one more flake to come. So with any luck at all, we'll get to the May 2-4 weekend, and then we'll be able to trust doing some planting, because yes, we can't trust it before then. Now, with my temperature stitch, I'm doing this Specialty Stitches temperature chart by Stitchin Mommy, that's Sarah. And I am caught up to May the 4th, so I don't have yesterday or today done. So if we look at this one right here, this is April and satin stitch. Now I do have to put more of the border in, but this was really, really easy to do. I am using one strand of sulky, and I've created my own combination with one color per degree. So you can see that we started a little cooler with the lighter shades, and we definitely are getting to the warmer area once we got down here. Now, I think that my range of temperatures, I'm in Celsius, was 7 degrees to 22 degrees. Now, that is taking the temperature at 12 noon. There were a couple days that by the time I got to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we got to 28 degrees. But I've chosen not to do just the highest temp, because it's kind of random when it hits. I'm taking the temperature at the same time each day. So 12 noon, this is what it looks like. And then the Rhodes heart is right here for the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. It is not difficult at all. The hardest thing is figuring out how to anchor the thread to start this. So I'm very pleased, and this is what mine looks like so far. So we have Queen Stitch, Jessica Stitch, Diamond Eyelet, Satin, and now Rhodes Heart. And I'm stitching this on a 32 count even weave. It is actually vintage country mocha, but on the plain side, because the vintage fabrics are, they're printed on one side only and the other side stays plain. Oh, there's Lola upstairs. Somebody must be walking by. Okay, fully finished projects. Okay. Let's see if I can do this logically. So at Stitch North, I was the first one to ring the bell. Did I plan this? Yes. Now my daughter was here yesterday stitching with me, and she said, "You planned it? That's cheating." I said, "No, it's not. Planning is a good thing." So what I did was in the week leading up to Stitch North, got 3 projects to a single color and less than 200 stitches, and usually it was less than 100 stitch. So on the first day, I finished the Barred Owl and Blueberries. This is a Mudpuppy, wow, words today. Mudpuppy Stitchery design. Kenzie has many raptors. This is one of 6. I stitched on a 32 count even weave with 2 strands of DMC. And I think it turned out beautifully. I am doing a Mudpuppy Mania, so I felt it was important to start off May with a finish for Kenzie. So this was day 1. Day 2, my finish was True North by Sarah the Rocking Chair Stitcher. Yes. For a minute, I was like, did I turn this around? Because when I look into my camera, I'm seeing everything backwards, but no, I've got it correct. So I'm stitching this on a 32 count even weave that's azure in color, and I used 1 strand of CXC thread. So CXC is a little bit thicker than DMC, therefore this white turned out beautifully white, even though it was only 1 strand on a 32 count. And my third finish was Aurora by Pigeon Coop Designs. So again, this is 2 strands of DMC, and I was stitching on a basic navy 18 count. Now I did find it a little thick at times for me, but I know that the saturation of the color is beautiful. Now I got to Stitch North and had forgotten my beads, so the stars ended up being B5200 instead of beads as previously planned. I know my friend Jody, her husband, would have popped over to Michael's for beads, but I thought, nah, it's okay. I had B5200 in another project bag, so that was easy enough to do. So those were my 3 Stitch North finishes, and my table had more finishes. Deborah had 2 finishes herself, which was absolutely fantastic. And Jody worked at a single project and finished it last night. She sent me a picture and it's looking great. So I think we did well. Now I do have other finishes. I finished Spring Angel. Okay, now at Stitch North, the lovely Miss Hannah, who has been part of Caroline's team for quite some time, assisted me. She is studying opera and as such has taken many lessons in the diction of Italian, also other languages. But I said, okay, here is how you spell this name. How should I be saying that? Because everybody goes Coure, Batticoure. And she was like, no. So with apologies to Hannah, I'm going to try and repeat what you told me. I actually recorded her so I could check it out again. So Coure, Batticoure, is much closer to how they would say it in Italian. So this is part of a set of 6 angels that are spring-like. I did this, I believe, on a 20 count even weave that was cut off from the sides of my In Praise of Pollinator, so I think it's a parchment. And I will hope to fully finish this. I just think she's cute, easy stitch, and just totally enjoyable. And as a reminder, Carolina was wonderful to work with on her Etsy shop. It says that you are getting paper patterns but can request PDF. It was easy to send her a message through Etsy itself. She responded so quickly, like within 5 or 6 minutes, she responded. I put in my order, and again, within, I would say 3 minutes, she actually refunded the money that would have gone for the postage and had sent me the PDF. So I will be doing more of these. And this was a finish. So this is April of Patchwork Calendar by Owl Forest Embroidery. Now I look at this and I'm seeing that it looks very blue today. This is actually violet in color. It is Thistle by Roxy Floss, and I just love the color Thistle. It's really beautiful. So it's actually a mauve to blue purple to blue. So it does have variegation in it, but it's not showing well this morning. I also finished Turkey Time. Now this is an Erica Michaels. It's going to be my first strawberry. I am doing this with my friend Michelle and Karen of KBH Stitches. So this is what Turkey Time looks like. I used my 12 weight sulky thread, so it's completely a conversion of mine. And I'm hoping before we see each other again that I have figured out how to make this into a strawberry. The instructions are actually very good on Erica's patterns, and this it really is adorable. Oh, and there's one more finish, and that finish is won by my daughter, who did Happy Pandas by Owl Forest Embroidery on a 16 count pull stitches. I can't remember what they called this. Something about the sky. I think she did a really good job. She brought this by yesterday. And she's working very hard at stitching it's a picture for her friend who is pregnant with her first child, and it's got all these circles of fun baby animals. So I think that is my fully finished items. Let me just have a peek. Yes, on that page. Patchwork Calendar, cute pen. Okay. Cool. Now, I just wanted to say I did have a Stitch North start. And it is Bourkes Parakeets. It's, of course, a Mudpuppy design. And I purchased from Evertote this Roxy 40 count for doll. And it is in the color Sea Breeze. There we go. And so I will pop in a picture of what Bourkes Parakeet looks like. And I'm just going to hold it up so you can see that there's some beautiful corally pinks in the tail as well as whites so far. There is a little gray in there as well that I feel works extremely well. Let's see what I've got here. One strand of DMC, I have 506 stitches, which makes this 6.3% complete. The design is 80 by 101 stitches and has 16 colors. Now on Kenzie's last video, she was saying that she wished she could figure out how to make her patterns with fewer colors. And I just want to say to Kenzie, please continue to just be you. Your colors work together very well. And I don't consider 16 too many at all for the beautiful bird that I'm creating here. So please don't change who you are just because you think you need to use fewer flosses. We all have lots of floss. So that was my Stitch North start, the tail. Now, this is, I was guessing I had bought a very large piece of material, so I just sort of centered it in the middle of one window. There's a fold here and a fold here because I don't want to fold in the middle of the project. So this piece of material is far larger than it needs to be. So my plan this week is on Thursday to start the Tufted Titmouse with Contented Needleworker Kim. And next week I will start the other parakeet and potentially the kite. The other parakeet will be on the same fabric, the 40 count Verdal. Sea Breeze, I haven't quite decided what the kite's going to be on yet. And I just want to take a moment to do a shout out for the Snowflower Diaries floss tube. Now, if you're thinking, oh, I recognize that name, of course you do. Snowflower Diaries has definitely been forefront for the lovely patterns she has been doing. Now, the designer has had one full floss tube out so far. I noticed a short came out on the weekend as well. Apparently she's been working very hard at being able to do floss tube presentations in English, and I had no problem understanding her. She did have some artistic training in the United States. I found it a very enjoyable floss tube and was really pleased with all of the beautiful patterns that she showed that we could purchase. It's nice to see them as a fully finished item so you can get truly excited about them. So I hope you'll give her a chance and shout her out.
Speaking of truly exciting,
guess who stopped at Tim Hortons? And soon you hear a bump bump as the dog pops down to go visit Dad. So we're going to go on to works in progress. He likes his coffee. He'd like it better if it was full caffeine, but I just wanted to give a shout out to a SAL led by Jason X Stitch, who has a marvelous floss tube. He's doing a halfway to Halloween stitch along, which essentially during the weekend people were starting Halloween projects, but it's not too late. You can start now in the hopes that you'll get well on the way, if not finished, by Halloween. So I am going to be using Boo Spook Haunt by Hello from Liz Matthews. The mock-up is going to go up, and I'm going to say the mock-up isn't particularly helpful because the mock-up is shown on white background, and therefore the 3 white ghosts that are ever so cute don't show at all. So we'll just have to watch for this one in the future. Now, I am going to be, well, no, I am using mauve fabrics to make it so that the ghost shows up. And mauve is, purpley mauve is the a nice Halloween color. I only got like 51 stitches into this. And of course they were all white because there's a ghost right in the center. So I'm not going to show it today. I'm going to work on it to show you next week. I do want to invite everybody to join us though. If you enjoy Halloween stitching, halfway to Halloween, we're halfway there this year. So let's have some fun with it. Now it turns out that in the I Spy challenges by Laura Stitching by the Shore, one of the prompts was letter M. And of course, Liz Matthews. Matthews starts with M, so I am going to be, I am using my Boo Spook Haunt. I always forget what the true title is, for my letter M. Now, Cabin in the Woods by Flossabilities. So, I have to say that I felt very privileged. I had a day about a week ago where I checked out the comment section and 2 people in a row were designers. Snowflower Diaries had watched and commented, and Lauren of Flossabilities had watched and commented. So I do feel privileged to have been watched by the designers. So I am stitching my Cabin in the Woods on charcoal 20 count Aida. I have 2,587 stitches. This tree I did at Stitch North, and it, with these few X's right there, was 400 stitches. Doesn't look like much. Now, I used the edge of a piece of charcoal cut off probably from the owl above here. So this is not as big as that. I probably should have started this up higher to save some of this fabric down here. So I'm not that far from the edge over here, and then we'll go over there. But I am getting along fine. I'm using one strand of DMC. And for some strange reason, I can see on charcoal Ada, even if I can't see on some dark blue even weaves. I haven't figured out this challenge, but each of us has to work with the strangeness of our eyes for sure. Now, I am stitching Cabin in the Woods with Mary of Mary's Stitching Corner, and really enjoying getting to know her better. I want to give a shout out for Kitty, the Selkie Stitcher. Kitty is an avid stitcher as well as an avid collector of stuffies. I saw those in the background. She is working on increasing her whip count. She doesn't have enough projects. Look at that. So she's going to be starting 2 new projects every month for this year so that she has lots to talk about on her Flosstube. I hope that you will give her a visit. Now, Heron at Dawn is my next, project that I'm going to talk about. It is a Pigeon Coop Designs, and of course I'm stitching it with Laura, Stitching by the Shore, Mary's Stitching Corner, Melanie of Uplift Stitches, and I am stitching on 40 count Verdal. It is hand dyed by Rolanda. I'm using 1 strand over 2 threads. I've got the start of the sun in here, but I didn't quite get it all the way in. I like the moodiness of the swooshing of this mauve. And the heron is there. The grays are showing, but not too vibrantly because herons aren't vibrant. So I have completed 1,707 stitches for 53.74%. So I am over the 50%. Now I know other people have already finished this. Actually, Melanie showed it, I believe, fully finished on their last Uplift Stitches wrap-up video. She had fully finished a number of pieces beautifully. For this one on the I Spy list, something that flies is definitely a heron. And of course I could have used Bourkes parakeets. Also on my whip list this month, so this is what the patchwork calendar looks like if you do all 12 months in a single project. You can see that I'm doing them separated. And this month, I am doing this, which ironically is January. I'm just pulling from what comes to the top. I am using a variegated DMC 4504. It looks like this. And right now, I had to check and make sure I was going to show it to you right side up. This is where I am. This is an unusual one in that when I started this on New Year's Eve at the Stitching with Sandy Zoom, I did the border first instead of starting on the design. Not sure why, but you know, just is. So that is Patchwork Calendar, and I am managing to get one of those done a month so that I will have all 12 months done in this calendar year. Okay, No Rain, No Flowers is up next. It's an Emma Congdon pattern. And I am doing this with Melanie of Uplift Stitches again. She started an Emma Congdon on her birthday, so I wanted to help her celebrate her birthday. She's finished hers. I've not finished mine. Now, mine did not come from any of the books you can get at Amazon. This is off of a calendar that was in a British magazine that I found on a stand, and I really wanted the calendar, so one of these days I'll remember to bring it down to show you all my options. There are more Emma Congdon that I'm going to do. So I'm stitching on 20 count Aida called Cloud Break. It's a Roxy Floss Co. I have stitched 2,625 stitches for 68.99%. I couldn't possibly get in one more stitch to make it into 69%. And for I Spy, this reminds me of my mother. My mother loves gardening, and as soon as there are flowers to bring in, she's got many beautiful vases, and they are on every end table that you can find. She just likes to fill her world with color. So this one reminds me of my mother. And Butterfly and Flowers by Durene Jones on Etsy. There are 3 different ones. There's a yellow, an orange, and a purple. And right now we are doing purple. And it just dawned on me that I put this in upside down. So I will chat and right side up it. Wow. I mean, butterflies do sort of not fly in a straight row, so maybe some of them are flying upside down. I suppose one could think so. Okay, so my Butterfly and Flowers is a full coverage stitch on a 20 count white Aida. I am stitching with Rachel Q, Laura Stitching on the Shore, Mary Stitching Corner, and my friend Karen D, as well as Renewing Stitches Amy. Now we're all starting this somewhere different, and there's different ways of approaching how you're going to make the final finished look, because when I show you the mock-up, you can see that there is a circle that the butterfly is within. So you can do the circle, you can do the square, or you can be Karen and do a square bottom and a circular top to create an arch. So this is where I am to so far, and it is right side up now. So this wing is almost completely in. And I have 3,900 stitches for 19.9%, which means that I've done 2,292 stitches since the beginning of April. For the I Spy challenge, there is one that talks about the arched line, and because of how I am approaching to the finishing of this, you can't see it yet, but there's going to be a square bottom here and then a rounded top. So there's your arch right there for that I Spy challenge. So I really love doing this. I am looking forward to getting the greens and the oranges on the side to continue to lift the mauve, because this is not looking as bright and colorful as it will in a few weeks. So I am working on 2 of the animals in A Year in the Woods by Cottage Garden Sampling. I'm doing the raccoon and the bear. So I'll put up pictures of what they look like finished. Now, I am stitching these with Alyssa Jones, who also has a Flosstube. I think she went to Stitch North Week 1. I missed seeing her this year for the first time. I've always run into her before. So on my raccoon, My goal this week was to make sure you had a full raccoon face, and indeed we have the face and we have the paws. I've got this paw in. There are a few spots to fill in colors, and one down here. Other than that, I'm working on everything that's around the raccoon. Now, I have 5,354 stitches done for 73.35%. Since April the 1st, I have done 1,500 stitches. So for I Spy, one of the prompts was the color of a favorite flower. One of the flowers that I like is the Bleeding Heart, which is pink, and indeed we have pink flowers in here. Now the bear got a lot of work on the weekend at Stitch North because I found it was mostly block stitching, although it's in a swirl, it's still a block. And I found that it was easy to stitch on before we went down to stitch at the table. And even with just a little light, while Lisa slept, I could stitch on the bear in the middle of the night. So I got over 1,000 stitches in on the bear just this weekend alone. And look at that, we have a bear bottom. It's right there. So I don't quite have the bear finished. We still have a little bit more to do there, but it won't take much to fill in the rest of the bear and finish the cabin. And then it's the bulrushes and other greenery around. So this came a long way this particular time. I am using the called for DMC for both of these projects. And what they do is there's 2 weeks dye works that have gentle variegations in it. And let's see, this brown and this brown. So these two browns right there, there is some variegation in it, but not enough that you end up with a striped bear, which I absolutely love. I didn't need a striped bear. So on the bear, I have completed 6,194 stitches for 76.58%. Since April, I have stitched 3,345 stitches. And for I Spy, the prompt was something sharp, and the teeth on a bear are sharp, particularly if they're trying to bite something, hopefully not you. These fabrics are a 36 count even weave, and these are both off of the same piece that I purchased from Hand Dyed by Rolanda. Find it very, very easy to stitch on her even weaves. Bless you. Now the last time, oh, it's upside down again. The last time we were together, I showed you an adopted project that was a dragon and I was musing that it was 2 strands of floss and that I was just trying to go through and figure out where the previous stitcher was in Pattern Keeper. So 2 days later, I started stitching and discovered that the way it had been stitched, it was so thick on the back because there was a lot of traveling, plus the 2 strands, I was starting to get pains of tendinitis, which I do not want to risk not being able to stitch and play the piano, because those are the 2 things that keep me sane. So years ago, part of what I did for my job was give solo concerts where I was playing completely by memory. And in the preparation for those, this was of course before children, I was regularly practicing 5 hours a day, which was fine. When I bumped it up for memory to 6 to 7 hours a day, my body said, you idiot, you can't do that much repetitive motion every day without getting injured. And so I did end up with an injury that I had to work through in order to not lose my ability to write and play the piano. But it has not, even lifting my children, it had not been a problem until I started to stitch on the Rainbow Dragon. So I have restarted. So I'm doing this on 25 count even weave. It's a pewter color. It's just a basic even weave. And this is how far I've gotten in a week and a half, 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks today, almost 2 weeks, where I decided I just had to restart. 2 weeks ago today was when it hurt. So I reached out to Stitchin Mommy and she suggested, you know, try just restarting. And Linda has graciously just accepted, yes, it's fine. So this is actually the one side, and I'm working my way now over to this side. You can see that I'm putting in the vertical grid so that I can be sure of where I am in the pattern. So far I haven't needed to put in the horizontal, but I have a feeling that will come as well. So I am using one strand of called for DMC. Now, Rainbow Dragon is a design by Tarina Clark using AI. It's charted by Artecy. The design is 133 by 200 stitches. And I now have 2,122 stitches in for 7.98%. So I am stitching on this one every day after I do my own full coverage. And my hope is to take no longer than 6 months to do this for Linda so that her grandson can have it. Albeit, clearly we've missed his birthday, but before his next birthday, I want to have this done. So it is a lovely set of colors. Now in here, I spy something that reminds me of the Kentucky Derby. So the Kentucky Derby is a horse race, and the jockeys all have individual silks that are in bright colors. So the bright colors of the jockey's silks are what I am stitching with, and this will get brighter and brighter as we get up into the face. There's a little bit more darkness down here, but that's where I got that. And I thought I had another I Spy. The other I Spy challenge was something Cookie Monster Blue, and mixed into these is somewhere in the 790s that is like Cookie Monster Blue. It's just that you don't get like a full swatch of it all at once to be able to pick it out. It's being combined. This is mostly confetti work. It is not a quick stitch. But, so 2 I Spy challenges for the Rainbow Dragon. And by the shore, okay, so I did take about 5 days off of stitching by the shore. And I know that I normally stitch 500 stitches a day on it, but I didn't want to take it to Stitch North. And a couple of the nights before Stitch North, I needed the stitching time to be able to set up those finishes that I did. Having said that, I tended to not just do 500 stitches through the past 6 weeks so that I would be able to compensate for having a few days without. So at this point, my stitching by the shore, I am at 86,554 stitches. People, I have passed 50%. I am at 52%. So this is where I am now. So you can see that all of this, it's actually solid. There's no confetti stitches left to fill in. I filled in all of this, no confetti. I worked my way up to the canoe, and there is some confetti over here. So now what I'm doing is I'm working on this canoe here so that I can work on the 2 dogs that are in the canoe over the next couple of weeks so that I can show you those dogs next time. And yes, there were a few days where I filled the confettis in here and a few in here. There are still a few to fill in this tree, but for the most part, one of the goals over the last 2 weeks was to try really hard to make it as solid as possible. And this is well over the 50% line here. I think back here is where the halfway point is going across. Somewhere in here anyway. So I'm super pleased with how this is looking. This here, we're now going to have a purple bush. This sky, this is now going to be a tree, and there'll be a cabin up here. So more of this picture will be developing over the next couple months, and less sky. There will be some lake in here, but that's okay. Cabin by the lake is beautiful. So my goal was to do 15,000 stitches in April, and I did do 15,549 stitches. And the total amount of stitches in by the shore is 164,994. Yes. And I think that is my whips. I'd like to do a shout out for Natasha Armin, the Dopamine Stitcher. Natasha really loves stitching and eagle live cams, and her interest in eagles has transferred into one of her choices for fairly large projects is an eagle. It was a pattern I'd never seen before that is absolutely stunning. And of course, she loves vibrant colors, so I'm enjoying watching her as well. Now, Karen D and I will be starting a gnome next week because we're doing gnomes of Soda Stitch with Laura Stitching by the Shore. Laura has already started a pretzel gnome to support Michael of Uplift Stitches with his Pretzel Day Stitch, and his Pretzel Day Stitch is already done and FFO'd. If you're hunting for a way to stay motivated and to further like a single specific project, I'm going to suggest that you consult Andrew the Ronner Stitcher's latest floss tubes, and I believe he'll release another one today. I know I'm later than normal, recording on a Tuesday. I just needed time after Stitch North to get everything together to do this. What Andrew is doing is he's working towards a marathon, I believe that is towards the end of August, and he has a very specific schedule of the miles or kilometers, I'm not sure which, that he is running, and so he's asking you to correlate these into stitches and to stitch his marathon prep schedule. So I will be using my Rainbow Dragon so that I can stay on course with it as I travel onto my deadline and Andrew travels onto his. My April summary is that I had 25 whips on my list. I stitched on 22 of them. I finished 4 projects, but you could possibly count it as 5 or 6 because I took the It's So Emma spooky ornaments and things like that, spring ornaments, and made them into needle minders for my table mates. They were kind of large needle minders, but I will be back at stitching It's So Emma because that is my first call from WhipGo this month, and you will be hearing more about WhipGo in my next video. In the month of April, my best day was 2,032 stitches. And my lightest day was 822. And yes, that was a videoing day where my iPad was complaining about being full and all the rest of that. So clearly that affects how much time you have to stitch. My total stitches for the entire month of April was 39,479. Did not quite make it to 40,000, but that's okay. I'm happy with what I was able to do. One more shout out today for Maggie Lou Stitches. Maggie is a lovely stitcher from across the pond. She uses beautifully descriptive language. I just love listening to her. And then I have to go, oh, I want to look too. Just such a nice voice to listen to. She has 7 videos so far and has just started a big awesome project for us to keep track of throughout her future videos. In my moment for music, today I'm playing Ave Verum by Mozart. And if you're thinking, what language is that? It is indeed Latin. It's actually a vocal piece. Under normal circumstances, that is sung as part of the Catholic Mass. When I was first married, I was teaching at a choir school that had special funding for being a music school. So the children had choir every day and strings every other day. So lots of music in their life. And because of that amount of music, they had one less session in all of the primary subjects, so there was more homework expected. But it was a lovely school to work with, and it was only grades 5, 6, 7, and 8 you auditioned to get in. In grade 5, we would use Ave Verum because Latin is a fabulous way of helping students to create pure vowel sounds. I know, and we taught them this by memory, and we also taught them how to sing in parts with it. And I have to say, it sounds beautiful, and I have never heard it sung in English because every time we did it in Latin. Today, there are no words at all. This is my presentation of Ave Verum by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And here we are at the end of our session together. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of my video. I really do appreciate that. Thank you for all of the wonderful comments. You make my day. You really do. And so it is. I will see you in 2 weeks. I hope that as you watched today, you had needle, floss, and fabric in hand, so that as you made something beautiful, you made yourself happy. May is Mental Health Month. I hope that your stitching is helpful in keeping you centered. Take care of yourself. You are the best you can be. Bye-bye for now.